last thing here is weekly wins, and so I have a special announcement to make. I am super excited. Kent and I have come to the decision. Hey everyone, it's Natalie, also known as Knitty Natty. Welcome to episode 139 of the Love in Stitches podcast. Today is Monday, May 2nd, and it is the first podcast of the month, which means we are going to be talking about plans and dreams for projects today. I also have a ton of new projects that I have started over the weekend, which is very, very rare for me. I actually did a lot of finishing up in April and was able to cast on a lot of stuff in May. So this may be the most interesting podcast of the month because I have so many new things to share, and the whole rest of the month I'm just going to be showing you the same things over and over again. But I have a plan because I am just seeing how, for me, I love having fewer projects and like working on them in a more methodical way. So I'm actually always kind of finishing things. That's just working out really, really great for me this year. So I will share more about that soon. It is super cloudy today. Actually, I wanted to show you because the fog all just rolled in. It's not currently raining, or maybe I just can't tell. So let's see. Can you see just how foggy it is over there? Yeah, just a few minutes ago, it was not like that at all. I could see all the buildings, and now the fog has rolled in. We had crazy storms last night. Well, they probably weren't that crazy, but because they woke me up with thunder and lightning, it felt very crazy because it was jarring in the middle of the night. And poor little Toaster is so scared of storms. He was shaking, so I had him like up on the bed trying to wrap him in blankets and give him pets and make him feel better. But anyway, hopefully it's not going to rain anymore today. Just overcast, so I am like so cozy today. Oh no, you can't actually see. I have a little candle that says Cozy Nights. Kent got this for me. There, now you can see it. Kent got that for me as an Easter gift. We did like a little Easter hunt with the two of us because we didn't have family to celebrate with this year here in New York. And so I figured today might be one of the last cozy days because it is May and the weather is warming up. So I wanted to bring in a candle. I've got on my favorite shirt. Oh, let me show you because this one is still available on my Spreadshirt shop. This is the hoodie t-shirt. So it's got a little hoodie on it that I never use, but it's just like a thicker long sleeve t-shirt, nice and comfy. I'm wearing a size medium, which is the size that I normally wear, and it fits really nice. It's got the pink logo, or you can choose the white logo, the Love in Stitches logo. So I'll make sure to have my shirt link down below. I wear this all the time. I love it so, so much. Okay, I think that's enough of an intro. I have a finished object to show you. I have new projects to show you, so let's dive right in. First thing I want to show you is a finished object. I finished my Harlow hat. This is a brioche hat pattern by Andrea Mallory. It is just done blocking, like even this morning, the top was feeling a little damp. I think it's all dry now, but it turned out great. I haven't gotten the chance to try it on since blocking. It was fitting pretty snug pre-blocking, and I think the blocking has helped it relax just a little bit. So I will have to see how it fits, but I used two yarns for this, two different yarns. I used a mohair, a white mohair from Homespun House called Fresh Sheets. And I split that skein in half and held it double for the knit stitches of the brioche. And then I used another step. Oh, I've been looking for this. It's been in my label thing. That's so funny. Okay, where is it? Here we go. I used another yarn, a fingering weight yarn from Zen Garden, Serenity Silk, in the color Mystical, which is the black yarn. So these are two stash yarns that are now, they counted out of stash already at the end of April, but now they are officially out of stash. And I had like a lot of leftovers. Like this only used, I think like 25 grams, maybe. Yeah, I think it used like 25 grams of the fingering weight. And I guess probably around the same of the mohair, which means I had over half of my yarn still left. And so I sent that off to a friend. It's already packaged up. I just need to drop it off downstairs at our front desk to send off in the mail. I just said, you know what, in the 11 Stitches Discord, I was like, hey, anybody want to make this hat or something else with these 2 yarns, because I've used them for what I want. I have leftovers. I don't want this going back into my stash. And I was able to send that off to somebody else, which felt so good. So literally I have nothing left now. I'm going to actually, dang it, I meant to put these in the package. I can still do that. I'll have to repackage it. I'm going to put those in the package for her. But anyway, totally done. If you do want to make something like this, I would definitely recommend it. So here's what's so cool. So we all know brioche is double-sided. You can see, you know, it looks different on both sides. So here's the fuzzy side of it, and then turn it inside out, and you have a totally different look. And now all the fuzziness is on the inside. So it turned out really, really cool. I'm super happy with it. And again, I used mohair held double as one of the yarns, and then the fingering weight alone as the other yarn. And it's just such a neat texture. And I got this idea from somebody walking down the street in New York wearing a store-bought hat that kind of looked like this. It was black and white and had fuzzy on one yarn and not fuzzy on the other. And I thought it was great. So it's probably not going to go in my head super well with my ponytail. I assure you that it does fit. It doesn't look like this, but I had to slick back my day 3 hair, so I'm not going to mess with it anymore, and I'll have to get some finished object pictures of this soon. But so pleased with how this turns out, and I can't wait to put it into my hat rotation. Hopefully not this year. Hopefully we're done with the hat weather. We're not, but hopefully soon. Okay, so let's go to whips now. I have one whip carrying over, is that true? Kind of. I have one whip carrying over from April that like started early on in April. I technically started another one on Saturday, which was April 30th. So I'm just gonna count it as a May whip. So this was really great. So this is the Outstanding Shawl by Christy Archer. And this is our April-May make-along. So Yarnia, which is a yarn store in New Jersey, and myself, we are partnered up for the spring shawl cowl, and our featured pattern is Outstanding by Christy Archer. We did an interview with Christy, by the way, on Thursday. I'm gonna link it down below. Definitely go check that out. It was so much fun. So I can now see that the shawl is getting a lot bigger now that I'm done with my color work. So I finished the color work last week. So I didn't do like too many inches. I just, from my Whitney Marie Anderson Reese's Peanut Butter Cup there, I just had a goal of finishing the color work section for last week. And so once I finished that, I was like, knitting quota done. I'm going to do other stuff over the weekend. I have made one slight change to this pattern, and instead of working the last wrong side row in the main color, I changed that to my hem color. So now when I go to do the hem, which is a textured pattern, I won't have that color change on the right side. So if you're knitting the pattern, that will make sense to you, hopefully. So basically I just worked across, and I did carry my yarns the whole time here. And I wouldn't have any ends, except that I didn't discover until this weekend that you can purl over your ends. So you have to go check out, I did an Instagram reel on how to purl over your ends. Because just like knitting over your ends, this is a game changer and makes life so much easier, makes color work, stripes, everything much more desirable because you don't have to weave in every single end. So I'm all done with the color work. I need to change my needle here and switch over to the hem. So for the hem, I'm going to be using pink, of course. So the shawl is going to end in pink, which is going to be amazing. I have a ton of this orange still left over, and not a ton of the main color. I did end up using up most of that, which is great because I like not having too many leftovers to go into my scrappy blanket. I'm looking at it sitting over there. So that will be really, really nice. I'm just gonna move my marker here and then tell you about these yarns. So I'm using a kit from Yarnia, and they did get more kits. I think this is the last batch of kits. So if you want to join us for the Outstanding Shawl, Spring Shawl Cow, there's still plenty of time because this is a pretty quick shawl project. We're halfway through our 2-month time period, so we still have a whole another month to go. This ends on May 26th. So I am using one of the kits from Yarnia, which is Madeline Tosh in Modern Fair Isle. That's the main color. And then the contrast colors are also Madeline Tosh. I think it's Tosh Sock, yeah. Tosh Sock is the base, and the colors are geranium and grapefruit. So I hope to maybe have this done by next podcast. We'll see. I don't have a ton. The border is pretty narrow, but I do have a lot of stitches. I just switched over to a 32-inch cord because the 24 was getting a little tight for me. I always like to use the smallest cord until I can't anymore, and then I will go up. I think the recommended length was 32 inches for the shawl anyway, so that makes perfect sense. So come and join with us to make the Outstanding Shawl. It's been really, really fun. So that is that project. My only whip carrying over from April. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So now I have some new projects to show you. I'm really excited. Need a drink of water to get ready to show you all the new things that I have. Got all my little labels here. Oh my gosh. Okay, what should we start with? Let's see. Yes, how about the one I have the most progress on? So I have started a new sweater and have it in my Shark Week bag from, I think this was one of last year's Sock Week bags. And it's from White Rose Fiber Company. Can you see it? I don't know if you can see it, but White Rose Fiber Company. I really like the size of this bag. It's not going to fit my sweater once it gets bigger, but it's perfect for the start of it. So here is what I am making. I am making something cozy. That's literally what the sweater is called. Something Cozy, and it is by Shayna Billow for Chelsea Luxe, I think, or for maybe for Christina. I know it was designed for Chelsea Yarns. Oh my gosh, how fun are these colors? So story time, lots to tell you about these yarns. So I got this yarn really recently and cast it on almost right away. So I'm really feeling smug about that. I feel like I have a right to feel smug. If you get a yarn and then you cast it on within like 2 weeks, it's practically never been stashed. It's barely touched down in your stash, right? So you should definitely cheer yourself on for that. So let's talk about these yarns. I'm using 2 yarns held together. Both are from Chelsea Luxe. You may recognize them if you watched last week's New Jersey Wool Walk video, because I did get them during the New Jersey Wool Walk, specifically for this sweater because I saw Christina the dyer wearing the exact same thing in the exact same colors. So I just bought that. So I am using 2 yarns. One is a DK weight, kind of a boucle, so fuzzy, not like, of course, using these 2 yarns held together is a little tricky to work with, but not as difficult as I thought. If you've ever used like, you know, the boucle yarns from like 15 years ago, take that out of your head. This is so much easier to work with, so much softer, and is amazing. I love it. And then I'm using a mohair. They're different colorways. So the boucle yarn, and I don't think she calls it boucle. It's called Luxe Cozy DK. And there you go, Luxe Cozy DK. And it's 100% superwash merino. And this color, it doesn't say on this label, but I think it's like Chelsea's Coupe, something based on her chickens, or Christina's Coupe. Maybe it's Christina's, I'm not sure. But it's so much fun. I love how it's feeling. And then this mohair is the Luxe Mohair base, and the color is Rose Gold. Again, this is exactly what Christina had on at the trunk show when we saw her. Christina's the yarn dyer. She had this on and I was like, I love that. I gotta make it. So I'm holding the 2 yarns together. These are in Yarn Cozies, by the way. Holding the 2 yarns together and it's coming out so nice. It's definitely so much fun, so me. Every single thing that I started this weekend is pink and it couldn't make me happier, and I'm gonna stay true to myself. It's got all those lovely little blips of color, so pretty. I'm not alternating yarns right now. However, this is a pieced sweater. So this is gonna be the front, and then I'm planning to cast on the back here in a minute. I've already wound up my next 2, and I think you can just tell right away, these are quite different. Whenever you use a hand-dyed yarn, it's always recommended to alternate the yarns. So yeah, I probably should be doing that here, but I've decided that since I have 3 that kind of look like this and only 1 that's light colored, I'm gonna alternate these 2 on the back piece of the sweater because that's a really long straight piece. This is a very boxy, oversized sweater. So I figured that would be easy to do on the back. So I'm planning to kind of have the front and the back going at the same time and alternate between them so that I don't get kind of a second sweater syndrome, like second sock syndrome when you don't want to cast on the second pair of the sock. I feel like for sweaters that are in pieces, there's going to be that I don't want to cast on the back piece after doing the front piece, so I'm just going to get them both cast on at the same time. So I did spend some time this weekend winding things up. I crammed, this is a full skein of mohair, but mohair is, you know, more yardage for less weight, so it actually just barely fits into this 50-gram cozy, so I've got it squashed in there. And then I spent a lot of time last week also swatching. I feel like that's worth saying because a lot of times we feel like we spend all this time knitting and we don't have anything for it because we're getting prepared for projects. So I did a swatch on the recommended needle size, 10.5, and I was a little small on gauge. So then I did a swatch on an 11. This never happens for me. I almost always have to go down a needle size. So I was really surprised. So I did a swatch on an 11 and this was a little too big, and plus it just looked kind of too airy. So I decided to go with the recommended needle size, and I'm just going to monitor my yarn usage very closely because the size is going to be fine. It's an oversized sweater, and I did the math and figured out that it would only be about 3 inches smaller than the circumference. So I'm like, that's totally fine. But I need to monitor yarn usage because with a smaller gauge, I will use more yarn. So spent a lot of time last week swatching, blocking, getting yarn wound and prepped. I'm hanging on to these swatches in case I need them. And again, this is something cozy by, was it Shayna? Shayna Billow. And I'm having, I mean, clearly a great time. I think I've already done about 8 inches or so. It's been great. And so I did a lot of this on Saturday morning. My friend Amy, who was on the wool walk, one of the people on the wool walk, we both got yarn for this sweater. She ended up with a beautiful color called Beachcomber, I think, that I was really into as well. But I was like, okay, the pink is definitely where I'm at, right? So we cast on our sweaters together, and I'm finding it really motivating to have somebody else working on the same thing as me so that I can stay on it and not let the project linger. The next thing I cast on this weekend, I've got in my new Yarnia bag from Black Pearl Magic. Let me get that. Whenever you get a new bag, you always have to use it right away, right? I always find that I'm like using a bag for a long time and then I'll like swap over and use another bag for a long time. Like I said, everything I cast on this week is pink and I'm so excited about it. So let me tell you about the project and then I'll tell you about the yarns. So I have just barely started a brioche shawl. This is Unda, and I am just guessing how to say that because it's UNDA by Leslie Ann Robinson. It's a beautiful brioche shawl. It's like half brioche cables, half garter stitch. And it's a 2-color shawl. The sample is really a light contrast between two light colors. And so I thought the two yarns that I had would be great. And I've been really wanting to work with single ply yarn since I've been seeing some outstanding shawls in single ply. And I had these two in my stash, bought them together intentionally to make something with brioche. So this just couldn't be more perfect. And for the Love and Stitches membership in the month of May and June, we're doing a brioche challenge. So May 1st, I was like, gotta cast on my brioche project for the make along. So haven't really done that much yet. Here is the one side. This side's a little brighter with the multicolored yarn, very subtle, but I'm really liking these two colors together, and I think it's just gonna be super beautiful. So let me show you the yarns. I actually stole some of the float tote cups to put into here because I ran out of yarn cozies. So here we go. So these two yarns, it's kind of blowing this one out a little bit. It's a little bit more pink than it's showing, but these two yarns are the same base and the same dyer, and they are so much fun. I actually am not sure if I'm going to remember which is which, because the colorway names just have like fun names and they're not really indicative of what the color is. At least to me, I don't get the reference, but both of these are from Trey Liz. And I do think I got them last year, a year ago on the Brooklyn Yarn Crawl. So they've been in stash for about a year and I'm really happy to be using them now. 100% superwash merino. One of the colors, I think the solid pink, is called Beautiful Liar. And then the other one is called I'm a Grenade. I can't remember if these are like cultural references or song references. I don't remember. If you know, let us know, and then we'll read your comments and get that information. But I think they're just super fun. It's like a soft pink with a neon pink, kind of unexpected, but I do think that they really do work together. So I just wanted to get this cast on and pass the setup. And so that's where it is right now. And then I will come back to it later because it's a more complicated brioche project. I did want to do something to kind of stretch my skills, and I always love Leslie Ann Robinson's brioche patterns. She actually released a brioche book recently, and she does a lot of workshops. So if you're looking to learn some brioche skills, check her out. Okay, I think this is the last thing. Yes, okay. The last thing, I haven't actually started it yet, but I have been swatching. Again, that's a big part of starting out the project and so worth the time. So I have been wanting to make the Tessellation Tea by Stephanie Aaron. It's a crocheted colorwork top, and I had just had too many other things going on in April, and I've been planning to make this since March. I'm finally starting it in May. I've got two yarns that I'm using. One is an old stash yarn that I don't believe I have the label for, but it's Madeline Tosh Sock in the colorway Copper Pink. And this is a new float tote cup that I'm testing out for hand wound yarns. Working out pretty great so far. Then I needed to get a contrasting, there's so much dog hair in this. I needed to get a contrast color for the yoke, and so I ended up with this color, which is not going to show great on the screen, but it is called Eggplant. It's a deep purple, and it's a Malabrigo sock that I got at Knitty City just a couple of weeks ago, and I've got that in my crochet yarn cozy, which is going into testing very soon. I need to make some adjustments. This is my first one. It needs to be a little taller, but that's why we test. I like literally test things myself and make sure that they work out. So here are my two swatches. I had another swatch that I did, but I ended up ripping it out because it was too far off. So I've done two swatches. I did one with just my main color because I wanted to see, you know, for the rest of the body, it's just a colorwork yoke. For the rest of the body, what's my gauge? Because I want to make sure I'm getting that right. So I did this swatch in the round. And then I needed to practice crochet color work, and I am so proud of myself. So you may notice that this part and this part are different, and I'll talk about that in just a second, but I am practicing my crochet color work and my increases and my chart reading. This pattern is written and charted. I just knew charted would be a little bit better for me. So I am doing stranded color work with crochet, and I think I'm doing a really good job. This is my second attempt, and this is blocked, by the way. But I am so glad that I took the time to not only swatch this, but also practice the color work, because there were so many things about crochet color work I didn't even know. Like, did you know that you have to finish off the previous stitch with your new color? You can't just like start the new stitch in the new color. It won't look right. I had no idea. I also, you know, it's similar to knitting. Like, I have areas where I've tracked long floats and everything. So I am doing this according to the designer, and it's working really great. I also learned why, if you see the difference between the top and this part, I was actually doing the stitch incorrectly up here. So now I know why we are working through the back loop. It's a way smoother look. It also definitely changes your gauge. So made that mistake up here, which is fine. I also practiced my foundation chains to see how that works out. Anyway, there's just so many things to practice in a swatch. Gauge is just one of them. Techniques, cast-ons, you can try all of that out when you're swatching and make sure that when you start your project, you can be really confident in it. So I'm not really sure what to do because I am getting, my gauge is too big on both swatches, but what's interesting is my color work is actually coming out bigger on the same hook size. So in knitting for color work, I typically need to go up a needle size for a color work section and then back down to my original needle size for my swatch. Imagine this as a little sweater. Okay, here's the little sweater. So in knitting, I usually have to go up a needle size and then down to my original needle size. I make sure to swatch the color work and the plain stockinette in knitting. So I did the same for crochet. I wanted to swatch both. And I think I'm gonna have to do the opposite because my color work is coming out bigger than this on the same hook size. So I'm thinking I might have to go down a hook size for the color work to match my gauge here. Both gauges are still too big for the pattern. I haven't measured them since blocking, so I need to do that, but I'm hoping to get that figured out. If I need to do another swatch, fine. I'd rather spend a lot of time swatching than make a whole sweater and it not fit me. I really don't want to go, my gauge is too big, so I would need to go down a needle size. I don't really want to go down a needle size because this is like as stiff as I would want a garment to be. I don't want it to be any stiffer. I'd rather have the drape and maybe make some adjustments or choose a smaller size. So I'm gonna be really taking my time figuring out the best solution for this project. That is everything, all the new pink things that I have cast on for the month of May, and I have more to share with you about my May plans in the next segment. We did not get to properly do this in April, so it's time to catch up on all the plans and dreams. So this is a segment where I talk about plans for the upcoming month, how my plans went for last month, and then the dream part is any projects that have been catching my eye, but I know I'm not gonna have the time to cast them on, at least right now. So let's take a look first at April's plans. So again, I didn't get to properly share this in April because I think I had a time where I needed to skip a week of podcasting. And so I like combined my stash update and my like plans for the month all into one. So I did, however, have some April plans written in my notebook here. And so I shared those at one point and I was able to get the, my plans and see how they went from there. So in April, I plan to finish 3 things: my Harlow hat, my party punch shawl, and my prismatic sweater. So I did finish the Harlow hat. I also finished the prismatic sweater, and the party punch shawl I ultimately decided to frog because I had barely started it. I had worked on it for one day. I knew I had other projects I was more interested in right now, and so I just decided to put that yarn back into stash, set aside the project for maybe another time. So for me, I feel like April knitting and crochet went well. I got a lot accomplished, I got things finished, and I'm probably the most prepared for a month that I have been all year here in May. So I spent some time this morning, and I'm pulling this in from out of frame because I have stuff on the other pages that I am not showing. So my May knitting plans, I just spent about 10 minutes today writing things down. So I started with all of the whips that I currently have. I decided what I would like to finish in the month of May, and then I kind of divided it up over the month. I mean, it's the beginning of May, so it's the perfect time to make some plans. And then I also made what I'm calling a maintenance plan. So I just want to take a second to talk about that before we go on to the dream knitting. And not every month does doing something like this really work for me. I would say every other month, just about. I kind of feel like I'm going through phases of casting on things and then having a month where I don't start anything new, I just finish things. And I feel like it's been kind of a cycle like that this year. And honestly, it kind of makes sense. I usually pick projects that are longer term, like sweaters and big shawls. And in between, I'll have smaller stuff like hats and socks. So I feel like that's the normal ebb and flow. If making out like a written plan is not something that floats your boat, don't do it. It's just kind of there if you ever want to solidly make like goals for the month or weeks, or if you need to finish a project, I find doing this really, really helpful. So my whips for this month, I showed 4 of them today. Something Cozy is a sweater. Tessellation Tea is another sweater. Unda is the shawl that I just started. Outstanding is the shawl that is almost finished. And then, wait, did I have another project today? No, I think that's all the new projects. And I have one other thing I would like to cast on. I want to make a pair of socks for my friend Brian. And I got this yarn on the New Jersey Wool Walk. There was a special yarn for Frame and Fiber. It's called Shipwreck. And Legacy Fiber Arts dyes it only for them. So if you want to get it, you have to get it from Frame and Fiber. And while it's not my colors, I really thought that this would be like great guy socks. And my friend Brian, I made him socks last year and his cat got to them and he was really, really sad and he asked me to make him another pair. And so I was like, how can you say no to somebody who really likes their handmade socks? So I would like to get those started for him and work on them, especially since I don't have any other small projects going on right now. So that's 5 things. Out of the 5 things, I only want to finish 3 of them. And this is just a goal. If this is not working for me, I'm gonna change it. That's the thing about plans, is like, it doesn't mean you are stuck in stone with them. You can do what you want to and adapt as new information comes in. Okay, so what I would like to finish is Something Cozy. I really want to get that because I'm going to have 2 sweaters going on this month. I really want to get one worked on and out, especially since Something Cozy is on a 10.5 needle and I've got a friend motivating me. I'm like, I think I can get this done this month. Definitely want to finish Outstanding. It is 2 inches from being done. It's probably going to be done maybe by the next podcast. And then the socks for my friend. Even though they're not started yet, I would like to start them soon and finish them by the end of May. Today is May 2nd for reference, so this is quite literally the beginning of the month. Okay, so then I made a plan for the 3 things that I want to finish. It's going to be very easy to see, but I wrote each one out and then I divided it up, the amount of knitting that I had left on them over the entire month of May. So I kind of did like 5 weeks worth of knitting because even though May is not actually 5 weeks, it's 4 weeks. The last Sunday in May is the 29th, and so I just counted that as a week too. So here's my plan for Something Cozy. I figured out that I have 30 inches of knitting left to do for the front and the back. So I divided that up by over 3 weeks. That's 10 inches per week. So for Something Cozy, I'm planning to do 10 inches this week, 10 inches next week, and 10 inches the following week. In the 4th week, I can do the sleeves. They're small. And then in the 5th week, I will do the finishing. This one's gonna require seaming, weaving in ends, and blocking. So that's a tentative plan. And if it changes, we'll go from there. This is not like I'm gonna beat myself up if this is not happening. It's just for me, a way to think of things and like, I do wanna finish it in the month. How can I make that possible if I continue to want to do so? For outstanding, I only have one section left, which is the hem. So I plan to do the hem this week and then the finishing, which is the bind off and weaving it in, next week or maybe over the weekend, we shall see. And then for the socks, I plan to cast them on this week, but probably towards the end of the week. So that's all I'm really planning for this week. Do the first leg in the next week, first leg for a week, first foot for a week, second leg for a week, second foot for a week. And that will just that's how I used to always knit socks, but I've just not been on a sock kick lately, which is fine. But that's kind of a great way to do things if you have a monthly sock goal, is to do leg, foot, or leg, foot, foot, or foot, leg, however you're making socks. Basically half of a sock per week will get you a pair in a month. Okay, so that's all great, but I don't want to ignore my other whips. Like I don't want to just work on these and then the new shawl that I've cast on, the Unda, or my Tessellation Tea just go unworked on for the month. So that's when I wrote out this maintenance plan. I've never done this before, so I'm kind of curious how it's going to work. It's an experiment and I can always try it, and if it doesn't work for me, I can change it. That's what I'm learning. Again, plans are just made to get you started, and then you can learn and adjust with new information. So I wrote out the times that I knit each day, because for me, I don't try to work on every single project every single day. I think that's a little bit too lofty of a goal when I have, 5 whips I'm gonna be working on for the month. I think that's too much, but I do have like certain sections that I knit nearly every single day, and they're kind of like made better for different projects. And so I wrote out those times and then decided what I will prioritize working on during that time, as long as, again, I feel like doing that at the moment. Knitting and crochet are supposed to be fun, so if this is too rigid, don't do it. But for me, the rigid structure provides some bounds for me that makes me feel good, like getting knitting done. And then if I want to change it, I change it. So the 4 categories of knitting that I normally do, hang on, sorry. My throat is like, not my throat, my mouth is like getting dry, all the talking. Okay, so the times that I normally knit are 30 minutes of knitting. I do that first thing in the morning, Monday through Friday. I knit during lunch. I take a 2-hour lunch break every day for Monday through Friday, but usually like an hour of it is taken up with like actually cooking the lunch or doing some chores, taking toaster out. So I usually have about an hour where I'm actually sitting, eating, knitting during that time. Speaking of toaster, hi buddy. Toaster's just come in to join us. Hi, do you want to hop up on the bed? You mind shutting that? Thank you. Toaster just pushed his way in. Okay, so lunchtime knitting. And then almost every day I have at least a little bit of nighttime knitting, and that could vary from 3 to 4 hours to 30 minutes. It just depends on what I'm actually doing. Sometimes I have knit nights, sometimes I have dinner with friends and I don't do any knitting. Sometimes Kent and I spend a couple hours watching TV and I get lots of knitting done. And then the final category is out and about knitting. So sometimes when I'm going to appointments or going to like a local bar, having a beer, talking with friends, you know, I'll bring something to knit. So those are my 4 categories: 30 minutes of knitting, lunchtime, nighttime, and out and about. So then I took my projects and I decided when I will work on them, not trying to do the same project every single day, but just making sure everything gets worked on within a week. So this is what I have decided. For my 30 minutes of knitting, I am going to focus on something cozy. Something cozy is my very basic stockinette stitch sweater. this one. It's the perfect match for 30 minutes of knitting because in the morning when I'm doing my 30 minutes of knitting, I am reading, I am eating breakfast. I need something simple that I don't need to look down at so that I can read at the same time. Does that mean that's the only time I'm gonna work on something cozy? No, but I'm gonna make that my priority project for this month for as long as that feels good to me. My lunchtime knitting, I usually also like to have something kind of simple because we're usually watching some show that's involved, like we need to really watch it. So I decided that I would first work on my outstanding shawl. I've got the hem. I want to finish that in the next week or so. So I would first work on my outstanding shawl during lunch. Once that's finished, I'm going to flip over to something cozy. So at some point in the month, my something cozy will be getting worked on 30 minutes in the morning, an hour at lunch. I'm going to make a lot of progress just with those little bits of time. Is that the only time I'm going to work on something cozy? No, but it will get me a long way. Now my nighttime knitting, that's when I really like to work on my more intense projects that I really need to concentrate on that are more complex. So I've got two of those this month. I've got the Unda shawl, which is a brioche shawl. I'm definitely gonna have to sit and follow the pattern. That is not coming out and about with me. That is like at home knitting. And then I'm gonna have my Tessellation Tea, which is crochet color work, which I like. Definitely can't look away from, definitely have to focus. I can watch a show, but I'm not gonna be like watching as much as like when I'm working on something simple. So I've decided I will alternate, and this may not be like literally every other day, but in a sort of sense, I will try to alternate between Unda one night and my Tessellation Tea and just alternate back and forth because those really are a perfect fit for nighttime knitting. Again, is that the only time I'm going to work on them? No. Sometimes there are weekends where I don't have a lot going on and I just sit during the day and I get to knit. Again, that's going to be a great time to work on those complex projects, so I will probably work on those then. And then my socks are going to be my out and about knitting. I rarely work on socks at home because I find them definitely too boring to work on at home, but they're great for when I'm like walking somewhere or talking with friends, just to bring along with me on the subway. So I'm gonna just work on those out and about, see how much I get done, and if I need to, work on them a little more here and there to make my weekly goals, I can. So, phew. That's the plan that I made this morning. I mean, I literally just made this in like 10 minutes time, and I will kind of check in and see how things are going week over week with that. Use that if you will, if that works for you, or bits and pieces of it. But if you're like, no, you know what, right now I just need to like do my own thing and pick whatever's, fitting my fancy today, you do that too. There's no wrong way to organize your knitting. So let's talk about dreams, because there's a few patterns that I've been seeing over the last little while that have really piqued my interest, but I'm not actually planning to cast them on right now. Maybe in the future, maybe not, but I would love to share them with you. So the first one is the Jilly Cardigan by Holly Woodward Designs. This is a crochet granny square cardigan that is super, super cute. I first saw it with one of our Love and Stitches members wearing it during one of our Zooms, and all of us were like, what is that? What are you wearing? That is so cute. And it was gorgeous. And I think it's so fun that crochet granny squares especially are kind of in fashion right now. I don't think it's fun that, as an industry, that crochet garments, people that are making those items are most likely not getting paid a sufficient wage. That part is not fun, but just as a popularity piece, I think it is cool that crochet is coming into pop culture and everything. And granny squares do seem to be pretty popular right now. So crocheters, it's time to shine, time to make some granny square garments. And I think they can be really, really cute. We were talking about this, and, some of us may think granny square and think what the granny square maybe used to be, which is like multicolors, maybe like, you know, very 70s colors like orange and brown and like forest green, white, you know, itchy yarns. Does not have to be that way. Granny squares come in all different shapes and sizes. I guess it's, yeah, different shapes on the inside, still a square, although you can make them in like different shapes too. But it's so crazy how a granny square in one yarn can look a certain way, and then a granny square in another yarn can just be so delicate and beautiful and look amazing in a sweater. So don't discount granny squares. Check out the Jilly cardigan. It is super cute. I'll have these dream projects linked down below. The next one is called Little Sprout, and it is by Christy Archer. So Christy is the designer of the Outstanding Shawl, and we did an interview with her this past week. And when we interviewed her, she was wearing this gorgeous top. So of course we had to ask her about it. It was clearly a hand knit top, and it was one of her designs called Little Sprout. So it's Lil' for Lil, and then Sprout. It's not a halter top, but I don't know what the silhouette is called, where it comes in and just has like these smaller straps here, but it was very flattering, so classic looking, beautiful, beautiful top. Christy just looked amazing in it. It looked gorgeous. It looked like not too complicated of a pattern, but like just the right amount of beautiful finishes to make it really a polished piece. So if you're looking for something to add to your summer wardrobe, especially if you're in a warmer climate, because I think she made it out of a cotton blend or a cotton, go check out Little Sprout. It's very, very cute. Definitely something to go in your summer wardrobe. The last thing is a pattern that is not out yet, but it is coming at the end of May, and it is the Looking Up Socks by Wendy Staples, who is Very Warm Stripes on Instagram. So these are the cutest colorwork socks. They've got little sunglasses on them in kind of like different styles. You can, I think the way that Wendy described it is you're going to be able to choose, like, the motifs are all there and you can choose the order you want to make them in to kind of customize your socks. But they've got adorable colorwork, sunglasses on them in bright fun colors, and they are so cute. So they're not out yet, but Wendy does have on her Instagram that they're coming out May 28th. So make sure you're following at Very Warm Stripes, and you can stay posted on when the Looking Up socks are coming out. Let's do some news. So the Spring Shawl Cal 2022 continues into May. This is the Outstanding Shawl that we're all working on right here by Christy Archer, and I am hosting this knit along with Yarnia in New Jersey. So we are continuing into our second month. We're going through May 26th. That's when you must finish your Outstanding Shawl in order to submit it for prizes, but please post on Instagram all along the way with your whip and your yarn and everything with the hashtag Spring Shawl Cal 2022. But it's not too late to join us because this shawl doesn't take you too long. So if you do cast it on here in the beginning of May, you should have plenty of time to finish it before May 26th. Now, we just had an interview with the designer Christy Archer. That is on the Yarnia YouTube channel, and their channel is Chronicles of Yarnia. So I will make sure to link straight to the interview down below, where it's got all the Spring Shawl Cal information. If you need to find out more information, shop for the yarn kits, check out Christy, check out Yarnia. It's all going to be down below. We have one more event coming up, and it is on May 26th. That's a Thursday. The final day of the knit along, we are doing a closing ceremony. That's going to be back on this YouTube channel on Knitty Natty. And this is going to be kind of a special one because we are inviting any of you who have finished your shawl to join us on Zoom. The Zoom is going to be broadcast to YouTube so that we can have a lot of our participants, anyone who wants to, show off their finished outstanding shawl. We did something similar in the fall last year for the fall garment make along. So if you were a part of that or saw that, that's exactly what we're going to do here. You'll be able to come on with myself and Kathleen, and Christy might be there as well. And there will be a portion of it where we get to feature everyone who, again, wants to come and join the Zoom. It's going to be invite only, and show their shawl, and then we'll thank you and move into a portion where we're just talking between myself and Kathleen, and again, maybe Christy will be there. We're working out all the details, but that will be on Thursday, May 26th, and you can still come. Please come, even if you're not part of the Zoom portion, because this is going to be on this YouTube channel, so you can be a member of the audience and in the chat, and we're going to be chatting and celebrating the end of the make along, or end of the knit along. I keep doing that. And we're also going to give away the prizes that day. So if you have finished your shawl or are finishing it soon, make sure that you submit your finished shawl through the Google form. There's a few different ways you can find it. I'll make sure it's linked in my podcast videos from now on. So you'll find it in the description box of this one. I also have it on the knittynatty.com spring shawl cowl page. It's at the very, very bottom. And then I think I also have it as a button in my Instagram profile, and it will remain up until the end of the cowl. You do need to submit your finished shawls by 12 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday, May 26th, because we need some time in between to select the winners, and so that we can announce them that night, that evening, during the closing ceremony. So all the information is down below, and we're just having so much fun with this knit along. I did a new video this week. Oh my gosh, new video this week on spring cleaning your finished object drawer. So behind me here, I had a stuffed full drawer of finished objects, and I went through and I got rid of things and I reorganized stuff. I'm showing you in that video kind of my process for what I'm choosing to keep and get rid of, how I'm getting rid of things, or how there's different options to pass your finished objects on to others, so that it's not just like going, not in the trash. Of course, we don't want to throw anything away that is a beautiful finished object, but lots of options. And then I'm also showing how to fold your finished items like sweaters and shawls. I get asked that quite a lot, so I wanted to make sure to include that in the video. So that came out on Tuesday. It's linked down below, and we have been doing premieres for Tuesday vlog videos. So if you like coming and chatting live, make sure you stay tuned for next week. It may not be on Tuesday, it may be on Wednesday. I'll let you know on Instagram, but we are planning to get some footage at the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. And so if you want to come watch through that with us and chat with me live, make sure you stay tuned for those Tuesday premiere videos. Again, next week might not be on Tuesday, just because we might need some time, another day, to get that edited. So that's the next announcement. I'm going to be at Maryland Sheep and Wool this coming weekend. I think May 7th is the 7th, the Saturday. Yes, I'm only going to be there on Saturday, May 7th. I don't have any legit plans, but I am planning to ask on Instagram what's a must see, what's a must eat, what's a must do, because we're only going to be there for a short period of time in Maryland. Probably going to be at the festival most of the day on Saturday. So if you see me, come say hi. I would love to meet you, and I'm really excited to go to this festival for the very first time. Okay, let's talk socks. So Sock Week 2022 is coming up sooner than I can't even believe it's like coming up so soon. So I've already selected dates for Sock Week 2022. We're doing things a little bit differently this year, and I'm going to link Sock Week 2021, the webpage below, just so you can get more information on Sock Week, because I'm not going to spend, it would take me too long to explain it all today, but just as an overview, Sock Week is an 8-day long sock make along, where the goal is to start and complete one adult sock in fingering weight, knit, or crochet. So I went ahead and chose dates for this year, because usually in the last, I think we've done it for at least 3 years. I've waited until Discovery Channel announces Shark Week, which is the play on words here. And they do not want to announce Shark Week until like 5 weeks before, which is not enough time for our sponsors who make specially dyed yarns and specially made bags and all of that to actually like be able to prepare for that. So I just decided we're gonna choose our Sock Week dates this year. It may not line up with Shark Week, and that is okay. But at least we'll be able to prepare and have everything ready for you so you have plenty of time to order, etc. So I can tell you that Sock Week this year is going to be Sunday, July 10th through Sunday, July 17th. The sponsor reveal is coming up at the end of May though. So on May 31st, I'm gonna do a live video where I share with you who all of the sponsors are. I show you all of the products that they have made exclusively for Sock Week 2022. You'll then have 3 days to make a game plan because on that Friday, which is June, I didn't write it down here. I think it's like June 2nd or something like that. I'll make sure to have all of the dates very clearly stated coming up here soon. But that Friday, all of the sponsor shops will open, and then you are able to purchase the different things that you may want for the make along. And then, you know, about a month later, about 5 weeks later, we'll actually start with Sock Week, but it's going to be so much fun. Sock Week is the biggest make along of the year. Knit or crochet socks are welcome. I'll include the links for 2021 below so that you can get a better idea, but more information on Sock Week 2022 is coming soon. So I just wanted to get the dates, you know, let you know when the dates are. May 31st when the products are being announced, a few days later when they're going on sale, and then July 10th through July 17th is Sock Week 2022. Last announcement, like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of announcements today. Perfect Fit Socks is going to be reopening at the end of May. Perfect Fit Socks is my sock course where you learn all about how to measure yourself and create perfect fitting socks, custom fitting socks just for you. So I am going to be announcing exactly the dates when it will be open. It'll be probably open for about 4 or 5 days for people to sign up, and you will be able to complete the 6-week course just in time for Sock Week. So if you want to learn how to make the best fitting socks that you have ever made for yourself, be on the lookout for that course to open up at the end of May. Life stuff. So this weekend I had a great time teaching for Floxy in their Neon Spring event. So if I saw you there, hi, so nice to see you. I got to teach about spring cleaning your stash and tools, which was very fun. I talked way more than I intended to, which is always what happens because I always feel like I have so much to say, so many details, but it was great. Floxy is a newer platform for like online knitting and crochet and fiber related events. Actually, they had more than just fiber. I think there was like other crafts in there too. But anyway, make sure to follow Floxy on Instagram and be on the lookout for more of their events coming in the future. But I had a great time teaching this weekend. Mostly what I did over the weekend was like watch some TV, clean. I did a little bit of cleaning. I've been doing some spring cleaning of besides just finished objects. I have been working on like a little portion of our apartment every single day. Not every single day. I think I've done like maybe 4 or 5 days a week. I do like 30 minutes of decluttering because we've lived here for a year now. It's time to like go through things in a methodical way and kind of clean things up. So I did that. I spent a lot of time winding yarn, swatching, casting on things, just really enjoying a quieter weekend after the previous weekend being out of town all weekend in New Jersey. And then yesterday on Sunday, it was the 1st of May. And so our rooftop at our building opened, and on the rooftop, they've got like tables, chairs, you know, patio furniture and grills. And so some of our friends that live in the building rented out one of the grills, and we did burgers and broths and had some wine and just hung out. I knitted a little bit. It was chilly, a little chilly for May 1st, but definitely nice to have the warmer weather coming in and enjoy that cookout with friends. So we had a really great weekend, super relaxing, super fulfilling, and I felt like, I mean, it was still hard to wake up this morning because it was so cloudy and it continues to be super cloudy, but I did feel refreshed from the weekend, which is great. So I have been reading up a storm. I finished 2 books last week. I did finish the 7th Bridgerton book, which I think I was almost done with in the last podcast, but that was Hyacinth's book. It's in His Kiss. And then I started and finished the 16th and final book in the Maggie Sefton Cozy Knitting series. And I'm so sad that those are over. So I've been reading those books for at least a year, maybe a little longer. And it's a cozy murder mystery series based around a yarn shop in Colorado, which I want to go to someday because it actually exists. And I love the books. They're a little dated. There's some things that are like, yeah, we probably shouldn't talk about people like that in the book. So just keep that in mind, that there's some things that are not quite like as sensitive as they would be written now, but they are really cute, really good, easy reads, and I just loved them so much. So I'm sad to have finished that series. Kelly is the main character. I'm gonna miss Kelly. I feel like she was my friend, and I was sad to see those come to an end. I have also one Bridgerton book left. I'm not sure. I think there are some like side stories that I'll still have to read too, but out of the main Bridgerton series, I have only one to go. And I was just like, I just finished a series I've been reading for a year that I love. I'm not sure I can also handle finishing the Bridgerton series in the same month. So I'm gonna hold off on that. And I have started a new book called A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. So in the Love and Stitches membership, we have a book club and we have a themed book for summer. We're doing witches in May, and then I can't remember what the other ones are, but they're already like picked out, like maybe like vampires or something. We're doing like a fun like fantasy thing. So anyway, May's book is A Discovery of Witches. So I decided to join in for May, and I just started the book last night and read a little more this morning, and I'm enjoying it so far. I'm not very far in. I don't know what's going on yet, but I decided to read that in between finishing one series and finishing another series, because it just, you know, it's so sad to finish up those series. It makes me feel like I'm losing a friend. I also finished watching the Abercrombie and Fitch documentary, White Hot. It was okay. You can skip it if you want. And then I watched all of the available Kardashian episodes that are new on Hulu. I think there was 3 out and the 4th one's coming out like on Thursday or something like that. Yeah, today's the 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Yeah, I think on Thursday. I think they're dropping weekly. And I used to watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I haven't watched it in, I don't know, 8 years, but I actually really liked the show. I like reality television, and so I love watching stuff. It hasn't been overly dramatic yet, but I can tell it's coming. So I enjoyed watching that. And then the one other thing that Kent and I have been watching together is something on YouTube from CollegeHumor, and it is called Breaking News. It is definitely on the adult level of humor, so please watch with caution, but it's extremely funny. Basically, it's a news anchor team, and the script is written and they don't know what's coming, and they just have to read off the prompt. And it's like really hilarious, ridiculous things. Again, not appropriate for children, so please use caution. And if for yourself you don't like raunchy humor, don't watch it. But it's just hilarious, and they lose a point every time they break. So break character or smile or laugh. And so it gets you laughing. They're really short, and we've been really enjoying those on YouTube. Last thing here is weekly wins. And so I have a special announcement to make. I am super excited. Kent and I have come to the decision that we are going to stay in New York City for another year. I have shared that privately with a few people, but I don't think I've shared it publicly yet. So in case you didn't know, we were up in the air on staying in New York City. When we first decided to move here, we signed a 15-month lease, and that's going to be up at the end of June. And so we were at the point right now where we were deciding, are we going to stay here? Are we going to move near one of our families? Are we going to go back to Texas? Like what's the deal? Because we're only planning to stay here for 1 year. And so we finally decided that we were going to stay in New York City, and then we were starting to look at apartments because the apartment building that we live in is extremely nice. It was kind of something that we were like, you know, if we're only going to be in New York City 1 year, why not get like a really nice apartment? We've been saving for a while to do it. Let's just do it. So we were like, you know, we need to move this year in order to stay in New York City. Just budget wise, it's going to be much better for us for our financial goals. And so we were pleasantly surprised when we got our renewal, and our lease, our rent did not change very much. And so that kind of got us thinking, you know, we actually love this place. We would not, like, if money weren't a factor, we would not change a thing about it. We would stay here. Toaster loves it. There's a dog park. He loves the doorman. Like, we love our view. I mean, hello, it's amazing. We love the apartment. It works for us. And moving itself is expensive. And so when we weighed kind of like the costs and everything, we ultimately decided that we're going to stay in this apartment for another year. And so I am just like relieved. I thought I was going to be moving right before sock week. And moving, you know, is very stressful. And so I just feel really good that we made a decision and that we were able to make this decision. It just goes to show how much Love and Stitches has been growing over the past year, that we are able to stay here and get to live out this New York City dream for another year. We are just doing 1 year at a time at this point. We don't know what's coming next. So we just signed another year lease on the weekend. So I'm really, really excited, so happy that we made that decision, and can't wait to see what the next year brings. All right, that is everything for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.